Hi, this is Matt Howard again. I would like to share some thoughts on a widely discussed topic, and not just my own thoughts, but the thoughts of someone else I talked to a few years ago who knows from experience. He was already in his 70s and he's observed things over a long period of time. Of course, the topic being this generation. Some people say we're just spoiled and entitled. How much of it is our fault? How much of it is not? How much of it is inflation that we're basically, not working as much, and there's just a period of extended adolescence. It was like 13 to 17. Now adolescence is like, 10 to 25. That's what it's thought of as anyway. Period of extended adolescence before we're finally fully financially independent on average and able to take care of them ourselves. Um, anyway, in my college, at one time it was the American dream to go to college, and it was a dream. It pretty much made for a lot of success and better income. Now today it makes for a lot of debt is all it does, and people work serving pizzas even right out of college and not a job based on their degree. But anyway, I work, this man I met, I work security at Riverview Regional Medical Center here in Gadsden. It used to be Holy Name when it was a Catholic hospital run by nuns. I worked security there, and one day there was some punk who had been discharged as a patient. He was acting all rowdy and aggressive to his nurses, and someone even said that he tried to make a drug deal with someone. So I was out basically having to babysit him in the parking lot until his mom came and picked him up. No pun intended with the topic this week, by the way, on that. Just that's what I was doing. And he kept going on and off property. This was several years ago. He kept going in and out of sight. So as long as I kept a good enough eye out for him to see him if he tried to get back in sight, or back on property, just to know where he was. So when his mom showed up, I could tell her where he was at to pick him up anyway. I could talk to someone else who was there or around me. I was standing out in the parking lot for a while doing that. And I met this man. He was already 70-something, he told me. And first we talked a little bit about the history of the hospital. I told him about, I think my dad back in '58 when he was little came there with a heat stroke, and many years later him and my mom had me in that same hospital back in '84. He told me a little bit about his life and the way things have changed. Back when he was young, 18, and first getting out of his parents' house, he said that just working your typical little low-paying job that he had, that just you'd think an 18-year-old would have getting out of his house, he could afford his own place. He didn't need any help. He could even afford his own car when he saved up enough. But he said his daughter today made $40,000 a year and was still going into debt. True, he didn't get into any details about his daughter's expenses, so there's a lot about that we don't know, or that I don't know to tell you about, but I still think he made a pretty good general point about the effects of inflation, and just basically the deindustrialization of things, and our money becoming just a bunch of printed paper instead of being backed by actual capital and means. That has made the general economy a whole lot harder for anybody, particularly a young person with a lower paying job. Some people say we're just spoiled and entitled. There's a piece of truth in that. I think sometimes we don't even necessarily intend to be spoiled, entitled, or unrealistic in how we go about things. It's just we don't know. We make efforts, we work hard, we just don't know how to put those efforts to any realistic use where they'll be successful and where we won't be just running on a treadmill with our efforts to accomplish things and get our lives on track. Simply because we haven't been disciplined. Other generations have had to been disciplined to start working harder earlier when they were like 12. And to me, it's not just an either or thing. It's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. In some ways, it's our fault. In some ways, it's not. Anyway, it is kind of a complicated thing, but those are just my thoughts on what I've observed and heard from other people. But anyway, thanks for tuning in this week.